Good evening and welcome to Nationwide. I am Kende Olale. Thanks for joining us. The Nigerian Air Force Alpha Jet aircraft has neutralized calls of Boko Haram terrorists while providing close air support to ground troops. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Vice Marshal Olatokunbo Adesanya, indicates that the successful airstrike was in response to information from the General Officer commanding the 8th Division of the Nigerian Army. The troops conducting clearance operation at Koloram in Niger Republic had come in contact with Boko Haram terrorists. The group of NAF intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft established contact with ground troops and guided the Alpha Jet aircraft crew to the major source of attack from the Boko Haram terrorist settlement. The Nigerian Air Force says the air task force will continue to conduct missions on request in support of troops in the counter-intelligence operations in the northeast. The governor of Bauchi State, Mohammed Abubakar, says the recent approval of $1 billion from the excess crude account by the National Economic Council to fund the acquisition of arms for the Nigerian military is in the right direction, considering emerging security challenges in the country. The governor said this at the opening ceremony of the Nigerian Army Combat Training Week 2018. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
This Eagle main battle tank, with the capacity of destroying both close and long-range enemy, is among military hardware on display at the 2018 Combat Arms Training Week, in view of the dynamism in the emerging internal and external security threats.
As efforts are being sustained at the highest levels to modernize the Nigerian Army, it is also imperative for the combat arms and indeed all other components of the Nigerian Army to continue to look inwards and make the best use of available resources.
For serving and retired officers, the program is a platform for sharing of ideas and innovations in the quest to transform the Nigerian Army's combat efficiency.
It is obvious that the current security challenges in the country are volatile, requiring the use of both hard and soft power and multifaceted strategies to effectively tackle it. I would like to commend President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for providing the visionary leadership to transform the Nigerian Army.
The week-long event is focused on maintaining all-round combat readiness through improved equipment, training and troops welfare. From Bauchi, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The official visit of President Muhammadu Buhari to the United States of America has been portrayed as apt and rewarding on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, highlighted against the visit were both. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, said the personality of the President endeared him to President Trump, adding that discussions between the two leaders principally addressed major issues on how to recover Nigeria's stolen funds in the United States.
We had issues with Americans in the past. They didn't sell weapons to Nigerians. And Mr. Trump in that clip, well, if you had shown the entire thing, you would have seen where he said, look, it's all available for you now. It's open. Whatever you want, we will sell to you.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, on his part, said the president used the opportunity of the visit to clear the air about some misjudgments about Nigeria.
We had meetings on the sidelines with the top, CEOs, top CEOs of the top U.S. companies, those investing in Nigeria, and then another group of CEOs of agricultural companies. So there again, you know, we identified areas and opportunities for further investment.
Both men said strategies are in place to follow up on agreements reached by the two leaders. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Pan-African Parliament opens in Midrand, South Africa, with legislators expressing disappointment over the non-rectification of the African Free Trade Area signed by 44 countries in March 2018. Ignatius Nko from Johannesburg tells us more.
Behind me are parliamentarians from more than 40 African Union countries who have gathered here for the 6th ordinary session of the Pan-African Parliament, also known as African Parliament. The African Parliament is the legislative organ of the African Union. Although these legislators have their peculiar socio-cultural differences, but their positions on the development of the African region remain homogeneous. The socio-economic advancement of the African continent is one goal they are committed to. A parliamentarian from Ghana, Mohamed Montaka, was skeptic of achieving the desired economic development for Africa without the implementation of the free trade area yet to be ratified by most African countries.
We need to wake up. We are the representatives of the people. As we go back home, we must ensure that our countries ratify this free trade area because it is the biggest panacea to our fast integration.
As a way forward, members of parliament call for a restructuring of the African Union so as to address issues such as ethnicity, influence of European institutions on the African Union, and the fight against corruption, which the Buhari administration in Nigeria remains a veritable example for other African leaders.
Africa has been a laughable continent in terms of progress, in terms of backwardness.
An organization which gets literally most of its funds from other institutions, especially the development partners or the donor communities, cannot function.
These legislators will have to spend the next 14 days here in fashioning out modalities on how to develop the African continent. From South Africa, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The Senate has resolved to mandate the Committee on Transport to summon the government establishment responsible for safety on Nigerian roads to ensure that drivers employed in any capacity must possess the necessary qualification in addition to being able to read and write. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports that this followed a motion moved by Senator Umar Kofi on the need to address low level of literacy amongst drivers in Nigeria and converse the need to make driving school mandatory. Details will be brought to you in a subsequent bulletin. The bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011 and to enact Terrorism Prevention and Probation Bill has been passed for second reading at Tuesday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports that the bill is seeking to provide measures towards combating acts of violence, insurgency, and other forms of terrorist activities in Nigeria. Details of this will be brought to you in a subsequent bulletin. And now it's time to go over to the Center of Excellence for more details on Nationwide from Michael. Hello, Michael.
Thank you, Kainde, and it's good to have you join us in Lagos. The Department of Public Prosecution has given approval for the trial of Peter Nelson, a Danish citizen who allegedly killed his wife, Zainab, a musician, and his 3-year-old daughter, Petra. Presiding Chief Magistrate, Yaba Magistrate Court Kike Lomwayeye make this known while granting further remand of the Danish citizen in police custody. Vera Chimuba was at the Yaba Magistrate Court and now reports.
On the 5th of April 2018, the people of Lagos woke up to the gory news that a mother and daughter, Zainab Nelson and Petra Nelson, were allegedly murdered in their residence at Banana Island, Lagos. The Lagos State government had, in a statement by the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Adeniji Kazeem, said forensic investigation into the matter revealed overwhelming and compelling evidence to the effect that the suspect killed his wife and daughter. The Lagos Magistrate Court, sitting in Yaba, had remanded the 53-year-old Peter Nelson at Ikoyi prison for the offense. He had appeared before the court on 2-count charge, borrowing and murder. The charge was, however, read, but the plea was not taken. The prosecutor, Chief Superintendent Effiong Esokwo, had told the court that the defendant was always at loggerheads with his wife and had hit her head on the wall several times, leading to her death. In addition, proceeded and poisoned his daughter Petra. Esokwo urged the court to remand the defendant in prison custody pending legal advice from the Director of Public Prosecution. The presiding chief magistrate, Kike Lomo Ayeye, today granted further remand of the defendant to enable the police and the state file his charges before the State High Court. The offenses are punishable under Section 223 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State. The matter was adjourned to 28th of May. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
Lagos State Governor Kiwumi Ambode has urged residents of voting age to obtain their voters' cards so as to be able to exercise their franchise in the 2019 general elections. The governor made the call while declaring open the third session of the 33rd Synod of the Anglican Communion in Lagos. Nusa Osula reports.
Governor Ambode said the country is at a critical time when all hands must be on deck to ensure the process of choosing leaders in 2019 results in sustainable growth and good governance for the people. He added that his administration would continue to promote an atmosphere for everyone to practice his or her religion in the state without any fear of discrimination.
The state government has received immense support and prayers from the church. This robust relationship has contributed immensely to the peace and tranquility being enjoyed in our state.
Bishop of Lagos Diocese Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Ephraim Ademowo, lauded Governor Ambode for his result-oriented policies and massive infrastructural renewal drive across the state.
God himself will thank you and reward you beyond measure as the greatest rewarder of those who diligently serve him. You have served without counting the cost. You have toiled without looking for rest. You have labored without asking for any reward.
Reverend Ademowo also urged members of the church to be actively involved in the nation's democratic process. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
Lagos State government has advised residents to desist from all forms of over-the-counter drug abuse, especially codeine. Nusa Osula reports that the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Jide Idris, assured residents that comprehensive plans are currently being involved to address prevalence of drug abuse under the mental health policy in the state. His report.
The federal government recently directed the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control to stop further issuance of permits for the importation of codeine as active pharmaceutical ingredients for cough preparations with immediate effect in response to the gross abuse of codeine usage in the country. According to the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Jide Idris, before the ban was announced by the federal government, the state government had been engaging with key stakeholders on how to end the menace of drug abuse.
The major challenge is our IT infrastructure, because without that, we would not run successfully. We want to get it right. Public health is a method. Health promotion and disease prevention is also part of primary health care.
Speaking on the activities of the state government in the health sector in the last 1 year, Dr. Idris said that the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital successfully performed its first open-heart surgery on a 32-year-old patient by an indigenous cardiac surgery team. He added that the hospital also performed successful kidney transplant surgeries. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
The Nigerian and China trade relations have received another boost as both countries have signed an agreement to effectively address liquidity issues faced by Nigerian traders and Chinese manufacturers. Abolade Salami in this report takes a look at the economic benefits of the bilateral currency swap between both countries.
The bilateral currency swap agreement is one of the gains of President Muhammadu Buhari's official trip to the world's second biggest economy, China. It is aimed at enhancing trade transactions between both countries without any recourse to the current exchange challenges with the US dollar.
For this swap to be sustainable, some macroeconomic conditions must be in place. First, we must ensure that there is stability of the exchange rate. And we must ensure that we're also not having a subsidized exchange rate. We must ensure that we eliminate the current multiple exchange rates.
Some other benefits envisaged by economic analysts is that payments for Chinese exports will be made easier with the attraction of more foreign direct investments into Nigeria.
Manufacturers who normally import raw materials and machineries from China, we find it much easier. They don't have to go through a third party or a third currency. Because normally, for international trade, what we do currently is that you have to use the dollar as a basis for the transaction. But now, you can now work with, between Nigeria and China, Nigerian currency and the Chinese currency.
Financial experts, however, want the federal government to define a specific time frame when imports from China can begin to be produced locally, especially if the country has relative manufacturing advantage for such products. On the whole, the submission is that the currency swap portends great prospects for Nigeria regarding the liquidity challenges often faced by the businessmen from both countries. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And those are the stories making the rounds from Lagos. Kende, it's over to you for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Michael. As part of its promotional visit and engagements with critical stakeholders with a role in the tourism sector, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has met with tourism reporters in Lagos, where he solicited their support and cooperation as the nation counts down to next month's UNWTO meeting. Anthony Forsen report.
Explaining the accruing benefits to Nigeria for hosting the meeting, the Information and Culture Minister said the event puts Nigeria back on the spotlight as a country that has regained global confidence, and so it behoves on everyone to support the federal government to successfully host the meeting.
We are keenly aware that we cannot host a successful UNWTO CAF meeting without you, the journalists and editors of tourism. I'm therefore using this occasion to solicit your support for the success of the 61st meeting of the UNWTO CAF meeting.
As it is usual at occasions like this, to end with questions agitating the minds of the people, the minister responded to some questions this way.
You'll have a taste of the diversity of our culture. Why did we choose Lagos as a technical visit? Because one, it's a good example of how a government can create an enabling environment for the private sector to develop tourism.
The 61st UNWTO CAF meeting is scheduled to hold in Abuja from the 4th through to 6th of June. In Lagos, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment says it has taken initiatives to promote access to credible social security data for informal economy in Nigeria. The Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Professor Stephen Ocheni, stated this in a workshop on data on informal economy. Omenka Amarachuku completes the report.
Informal economy is an important factor in the determination of the sustainability of many nations' economy. This sector of the economy, indeed, must be recognized when discussing the sustainability growth issues for any society to grow. Regrettably, sustainable number of people are found in the formal economy with little or no access to social security benefits. It is against this backdrop that the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment is set to address the issue and provide a lasting solution for a national statistics gathering process.
For every little business you do, you contribute your quota to the revenue of your country, so that your government will be empowered to attend to your needs. That is the essence of tax.
Indeed, from the ILO's point of view, we're a bit concerned that in the case of Nigeria, which is a very significant member of the UN, we do not have up-to-date data, and this has actually been an impediment in terms of putting into place appropriate policies and programs to address vulnerabilities which workers face in Nigeria.
The workshop is to produce a holistic review on how to extend social security to this very important sector, which will lead to a better standard of living. In Abuja, Omenka Amarachuku, NTA News.
Time now to take some messages. Please don't go away.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The dangers of drug abuse and emerging trend that necessitate ban on codeine syrup is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live. The program promises to be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
There are many ways to get rich, but is whistleblowing one of them?
Flash boy must hear this.
Is the whistleblower blowing to make our country a better place? Is he blowing to take authorities on a wild goose chase?
As I'm living here now, going to comb everywhere.
Is he blowing to take a chance on wealth?
We need to move fast before those bags are moved out of the house.
And perchance strike gold?
Is it only politicians? What of armed robbers and kidnappers?
They talk about bushmeat, you talk about lizard.
Join your lovely cast of your rib-cracking comedy, Professor John Bull, in this episode titled Trumpet Blowers. Find out why the whistle blows and laugh like never before.
Not to say I don't really see any politician go receive that kind of money. I just think I can't yarn you in advance.
Over and out. Brought to you by Glow.
The largest data network, Glow Unlimited.
I like it.
It's another Children's Day celebration with NTA Knowledge. It promises to be exciting and full of fun. Come, let's celebrate Children's Day on 24th May 2018.
Featuring dance, math past, drama, musical talent display, choreography, cultural dance, catching the train. That's not all. Bernie and Clown will be on ground to add color to the event.
Theme: creating safe spaces for children, our collective responsibility.
Schools, parents, what are you waiting for? You can't afford to miss this fun fair.
Venue: NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11 Garki, Abuja. Gate fee, 1,000 naira only. Time, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
For participation and sponsorship details, dial.
I like it.
Come, let's celebrate children in a grand style.
Happy Children's Day.
NTA News Extra. Every Wednesday at 9 p.m. News Extra. Because you want more.
Thank you for staying with us. Pre-Ramadan meeting holds in Kaduna. For details of that and all the reports, let's hear from Halima in Kaduna. Hello, Halima.
Hello, Kainde. You're welcome to Kaduna Network Center. The political class has been urged to desist from using foul language, especially those that are inimical to the sustenance of democracy. This was a consensus of some first-class traditional rulers and Islamic clerics at the Jama'atu Nasrul Islam pre-Ramadan meeting in Kaduna. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
It has become a tradition for the northern traditional rulers and Islamic clerics to meet before the commencement of the Ramadan fasting.
The size of the moon shouldn't matter, because if you look for it on 29, you have not seen it, we cannot automatically declare the next day as first. If we have not started it like we've always done, we reach out to everybody.
And beside deliberating on the need for Muslims to collectively engage themselves in the process of sighting the moon and putting forward the etiquettes of the daily sermons within the fasting period, the traditional rulers and Islamic clerics seized the opportunity to review the menace of drug abuse among youths. the federal government economic reforms as well as its interventions in maintaining security in troubled areas of Zamfara, Taraba, Benue, and Kaduna states.
Want to say that on ground that people who venture into this nasty, dark business of having to cause trouble through their bad speeches and hate speeches and so on are being dragged to the court and being sanctioned by the court of...
Dr. Usman Bugaje made an assessment of the developments in the process of electing candidates across all political parties in the country, emphasizing the need for Nigerians to consider antecedents while deciding who executes policies on their behalf. The leaders thereafter went into a closed-door meeting. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
The federal government's paradigm shift from grazing reserves to cattle ranching with a view to curtailing the incessant crisis between farmers and pastoralists in the country is receiving a boost, as about 100 extension agents are undergoing training on ranching in Zaria, Kaduna State. Ahmed Umar Kudan reports that the participants are drawn from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
The increasing cases of farmers' pastoralist clashes in Nigeria are posing a threat to national unity, peace and food security. Many have been killed while valuable property have been destroyed in some states as a result of such conflicts. Hence the 4-day training workshop, which aims at developing the capacities of participants to promote ranching, peace and conflict management in the country. Executive Secretary, National Commission for Nomadic Education, Professor Bashir Haruna Usman, said the Commission has established a peace and conflict resolution unit to bring about sustainable peace and development, stressing that the ranching system will provide requisite resources and infrastructure for livestock producers to have access to security, market, and other social amenities.
Why did we throw away the mixed farming? The mixed farming has so many advantages. No, there is no way a farmer who has cattle as well cannot accommodate another cattle owner. And there is no way a cattle owner who is growing his own grasses to feed his own cattle cannot respect a farmer.
This is a further demonstration of the importance that the Commission attaches to the federal government's policy directives for finding lasting solutions to the farmer-pastoralist conflict.
Representative of Emir of Zozo and other stakeholders emphasized the need to provide enough ranches in the country. Nigeria has about 416 grazing reserves in 6 geopolitical zones of the country, with a total of 3.4 million hectares of land, out of which 141 reserves are gazetted, while 275 are yet to be gazetted. In Kaduna, Ahmad Umar Kudan, NTA News.
Windstorm wreaks havoc in Port Harcourt. Ogechi has details of this and other stories from that zone. Over to you, Ogechi.
Thank you, Halima, and thanks for joining us in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt Metropolis suffered serious losses and damage following a downpour that rocked parts of the city Monday. Orengue Fanfis traces the trail of damage and reports that the military hospital along Port Harcourt Road was not spared.
The rain of midday Monday lasted for about 30 minutes but produced a cocktail of damage in Port Harcourt City. Rumola, Egbelu, Elioparanwo, New GRA and Ngoba are some of the areas impacted by the windstorm. Several buildings were deroofed, glassworks in buildings destroyed, while broken electricity poles and high-tension wires blocked roads in the city.
I think the poles are not strong. Then this time around, NEPA should reshove and make the things to be solid.
I don't get to husband, I don't get to anybody. May they come repair my house for me.
Not certain how to handle the damage, some shop owners resorted to moving their wares, while others simply rummaged through their soaked losses.
A taxi man almost died here. This thing fell on a car. It's that sad. So we're just pleading that when they are doing something like this, it should be something very solid.
At the military hospital, Port Harcourt, the administration block took a heavy hit, which also affected the store, exposing life-saving drugs to likely destruction.
We already reached out to my GOC, corps commander, and I believe we will also inform the Chief of Army Staff so that we will see what we can do. Also, we will not mind what the state government can do for us, since the patient we treat, most of them are civilians and they are people of the state.
A good number of trees along roads and streets also fell to the rainstorm, with road users left to wade through floodwaters in the city. In Port Harcourt, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says his administration is disposed to responsible foreign investors for the overall development of the state. Governor Wike was speaking when he played host to South Korean agric investors in Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogedinyekwe completes the report.
The need for the diversification of the state's economy was again brought to the fore as the governor interacted with the South Korean investors. Governor Wike noted that the importance of agriculture to the development of the nation cannot be undermined. He thanked the South Korean delegation for coming to invest in the state, which he said will provide 2,000 direct jobs for the teeming population of the state.
All of us know that agriculture, if well harnessed, well developed, ought to be the, after government, the largest employer of labor. Rice production is very, very key.
Leader of the South Korean delegation, Kim Ko-chang, said they have been into technological and agricultural development for over 50 years. Mr. Ko-chang said their visit is to foster relationship with the Rivers State government as his company seeks to invest in rice production in Emohua local government area. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
Now, a final report says the All Progressives Congress, APC, says it has successfully concluded the election of new ward executive members to pilot the affairs of the party in the 319 wards spread across the 23 local government areas of River State. Chairman, National Congress Monitoring Committee, River State, Joseph Dogo, said this to newsmen in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Marjorie Fad, the report.
Notwithstanding the violent crisis that erupted barely 24 hours to the World Congresses in the state, the 7-man National Monitoring Committee in charge of the World and local government congresses in the state said it has received results from the 319 wards where it said elections held.
So far, we have received reports from the 23 local government of River State with a total combined wards of 319 wards. From the report so far and from what we have seen by documents, it is a tremendous success.
Reacting to allegations that the Congress did not hold, the committee further said even in Senator Magnus Abe's ward, alongside other areas where concerns were raised, there are documentary evidence to show that party faithful came out en masse to choose their leaders. The Dogo-led committee, however, said it will be making available the results to the appeal panel and joining anyone who is dissatisfied to approach the appeal panel for redress. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. Is back to Kainde in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Ogechi. Good to see you. Result of World Congress of the All Progressives Congress held in 270 wards on Saturday have been released by the party. The Delta State Chairman of the Ward and Local Government Committee, Alhaji Sani Dodo, announced the result during a press briefing at the party's headquarters in Asaba. Austin Edemodu has the details.
The Congress Committee Chairman, Alhaji Sani Dodo, said prior to the Saturday World Congress in the state, the secretary of the committee and one other persons disappeared with the Congress materials and result sheets. He, however, said that in spite of the challenges, the committee has decided to collate results across the 270 wards, hence the announcement of the results.
Declaration of Delta State Ward Congress results. I, Alhaji Sani Dodo, Chairman, Delta State Ward and the Local Government Congresses Committee, following the APC guidelines on the conduct of the above Congress, hereby announce the results of the wards in Delta State conducted on the 5th April 2018 is contained in the various local government schedules is attached.
Alhaji Sani Dododo, however, advised aggrieved persons to seek redress at the Congress Appeal Committee. From Asaba and Austin, Ejemodu, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress APC, as described as what Congresses conducted nationwide, has satisfactory, though with hitches in some states. While speaking on Good Morning Nigerian National, Organizing Secretary of the party, Senator Osita Izunaso, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, said internal democracy remains the party's watchword. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
The World Congresses conducted by the All Progressives Congress is preparatory to its national convention. The National Organizing Secretary and the Minister of Foreign Affairs remarked that the exercise was peaceful in most states and that the situation in some states where there were irregularities is not beyond reconciliation.
From the field reports, substantially, about 75% of the cases are good. Some disputed areas are also being looked into, and we're collecting results.
What everybody wants is transparency. Everybody wants to know what's going on and to see what's going on. And so it's always problematic when, people are very much in the dark.
A member of the Board of Trustees, Buhari Campaign Organization, Atta Achimugu, believes the ruling party has set the record straight. But a political scientist, Dr. Ernest Ereke, wants political parties in Nigeria to evolve new strategies of party management.
You see, we have seen the APC have called it a shot. Other parties are yet to follow. So whatever we are witnessing now maybe will be a yardstick for others to follow. And it's a very good thing that APC have started already. Whatever the outcome of the exercises is, we have the APC very much intact.
Democracy is not just a system of government, it is a way of life. If it is a way of life, it means therefore that there is a culture to democracy.
The guests urged aggrieved members to seek redress through the constituted appeal panel. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
One good thing about democracy is that it allows for choice of affiliation to groups and political parties. Although Nigeria's constitution does not allow for independent candidacy, it is interesting to note that Nigerians with political interest are pushing for that as the nation's constitution is being amended. For now, some politicians have shown interest to contest for various political offices in anticipation of favorable legislative process on independent candidacy. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
Names such as Yele Shore, Adamu Garba, Ahmed Buhari are in public glare seeking to contest the 2019 general elections without any political platforms. These underscores the current agitation to allow for independent candidature in Nigeria because these, according to political observers, will deepen Nigeria's democracy and enhance competition. Mr. Ali Shoyode, a renowned broadcaster and owner of United Kingdom-based television station Ben TV, Alista Shoyode, has joined the trail. He says if given the mandate, economic transformation will top his agenda.
Coming back to Nigeria in today's modern day, where everything is around technology, I know technology, I have the energy. The Nigerian people believe that we need a new direction, and I'm bringing that new direction to the table. If they want to talk about transparency, accountability, we have it. And if they want to talk about people who have the energy, we do have the energy. And if they want to talk about people who can see things, we can see things.
Another important feature of those seeking to contest under independent candidates is that they dominate the young population of Nigeria. The Nigerian Senate in July 2017 passed the Not Too Young to Run bill, paving the way for youth to contest for president at the age of 35 and House of Representatives, Governors, Senate at the age of 30. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Reports just reaching us says President Muhammadu Buhari has left Abuja for London, the British capital, on a 4-day visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president departed Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 3:30 Tuesday afternoon. He was seen off by the Minister of FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, his Chief of Staff, Abba Kari, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris and other senior government officials. While in London, President Buhari is expected to seize Dr. whom he earlier met but asked him to return. President Buhari is expected back on Saturday to keep a date with his 2-day state visit to Jigawa on Monday, Tuesday next week. Time for another break. Do stay with us.
We promised and we're delivering. This is the second winner of the ticket to Russia.
I feel so excited. I can't quantify my happiness. This is one experience that every Super Eagles supporter should experience. And I'm happy I am one of those guys going to Russia to see the Super Eagles play Croatia and other teams in the World Cup. You need to start sending those text messages right now so that you can be a part of this. This is real. This is very real. Nigeria for Russia!
Madam. Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three
You are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah?
You take that one. Yeah, that one. You don't understand? We want Nigeria homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
NTA Television College, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, has over the years maintained her reputation of putting together courses that are highly relevant to manpower needs of the broadcast industry. The college is again organizing a 4-week course on English grammar and pronunciation for broadcasters slated for 21st May to 15th June 2018. Come and take advantage of our top-notch and intensive course designed to grow the skills of television presenters, script writers, news editors, journalists, hosts of live events in just 4 weeks. Venue, multipurpose complex, NTA Television College, Rayfield, Jos. Fee is 100,000 naira per participant. Accommodation inclusive. Be there. NTA Television College, Jos, training you to be the best you can be.
Agenda 2030. As a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the global development agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations, and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Welcome back. Makurdi is our next stop on Nationwide, and Susan will guide us through reports from that zone. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Kehinde, and welcome to Makurdi. In line with the ongoing efforts to curb the proliferation of arms, a combined team of police special have arrested 3 gun runners suspected to have been supplying weapons to gunmen and bandits in Benue State. Parading the suspects in Makurdi, the Force Public Relations Officer, Jimo Moshood, said the feat was achieved by a team of police special forces deployed to the state. Equally paraded are 7 suspected kidnappers who he said were planning to abduct some notable personalities in the state.
We have before you today 10 AK-47 rifles, 2 locally made pistols, 238 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, 78 ammunition for LAR rifle, 13 AK-47 magazine, and 40 meters. These are what were recovered from suspects who have been dealing in prohibited firearms and commercially supplying these firearms to criminal headers, to equally militias and other people that have been making some certain area of Benue State to go into this crisis that we are already witnessing now.
The 2018 national recruitment exercise into the Nigerian police force has kicked off in Benue State with a massive turnout of candidates. Elias Itiab, who visited the venue of the screening exercise, reports that it is being conducted in 3 phases.
The screening exercise applicants, according to officials, is to be carried out in 3 stages, including physical and mental fitness. A commissioner representing North Central with the Police Service Commission to engage Gen2NE while outlining the criteria for the exercise said 60% of the candidates will be considered on merit, while the remaining 40 will be considered on geographical and federal character basis.
When we go into checking the certificates of birth, we look at those that are not mutilated or those that have not been mended in any way or the other. We have the technique and the capability of detecting those ones that are forged.
He further said the recruitment is for applicants between the ages of 17 to 25 who must possess a minimum of 5 credits, including mathematics and English. Some candidates who committed the exercise, however, suggested that the process should be modified to make it easier.
But before they do it, the whole Benue State local government, everybody will come and gather here. At the end, they say you should go. But this time around, it's not like that. So I appreciate.
So if it is possible that the Nigeria should be sending text message or email to our email to know the particular dates that the screening is carrying out.
7 candidates are expected to be enlisted from each of the 23 local government areas of the state. In Makurdi, Elias, NTA News.
More than 2 weeks into the ongoing strike embarked upon by the Joint Health Sector Union, medical services at the Federal Medical Center Makurdi remain paralyzed, causing hardship for patients and their families. Blessing Omeche Ebute has the situation report.
The strike, which commenced on the 18th of April 2018, has crippled medical services at the Federal Medical Center Makurdi. This situation has continued to create hardship for patients who now have to pay more so as to access health care from private facilities. At the Federal Medical Center Makurdi, all the units were locked with only the specialist unit open for medical services. The dialysis also open with 2 patients being attended to. Mike Ola, who has a patient on dialysis, however, commended the doctors for their efforts but called for speedy resolution of the issues at stake so that the strike will end.
Coming through that back door in form of an emergency is more costly, and if health workers were to be at work, then it would be a kind of transfer, a kind of referral.
Presently, in the FMC we have in Makurdi, we are having skeletal services, pregnant women, gynae cases, medical cases, surgical cases, purely cold cases that we see in the clinic.
It is the hope of patients and relatives of patients that the over 2-week strike embarked upon by Johesu be called off so that normal services can resume. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
On NTA Nationwide.
Tuesday. The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, says in order for NTA to deliver on its mandate, the authority will continue to invest in training and retraining of its staff. The event was at the opening of a 4-day training program on Thunder, Lightning Power Protection System and Digital Microwave Link System for some selected NTA engineers within and outside Abuja. Kunonso Wabueze reports that the training is in conjunction with an Italian outfit.
Building the capacity of its workforce through consistent training has been the core objective of the management of NTA. It is in line with this that the latest exercise is being organized to keep the authorities' engineers abreast of new developments in their field of endeavor.
Government spends a lot of money on a yearly basis to provide the much needed digital equipment for NTA. So we have the responsibility to make sure that we maximally utilize this equipment and protect them. And this training is part of those efforts at ensuring that these equipment are protected.
It is my expectation, or the expectation of the management, one, at the end of this training, each and every one of us should be able to understand the basic working principle of lightning protection technique.
To ensure that the participants are properly trained on ways of protecting broadcast equipment, resource persons addressed the gathering from Italy via Skype.
Next part of session, we will talk about microwave link transmission of the signal, not only in the broadcast world, but the transmission in general.
We must move with the demands of the moment. So we're training these engineers so that they can be in line with the demands of this supersonic industry.
In their goodwill messages, Executive Director News Mohamed Labo, that of Marketing Abdulhamid Dembos, and other top management officers of the NTA expressed optimism that the training, which ends on Friday, will impact positively on the organization's output. Chukunonsonwa Boeze, NTA News.
The Director General National Gallery of Art, Abdullahi Mako, says the gallery is more committed towards the promotion of art and artists in Nigeria. The Director General, who made this known when it was being recognized by the network of Nigeria's civil society organizations for its contribution towards the development of the country, said the gallery is determined to make things better as it calls for the speedy review of the act governing the gallery.
We have seen countries that have generated so much of wealth through art, and we feel it is very necessary that we can do that as a country, and that's why we decided that the act should be reviewed and provide for the need to generate revenue.
To promote the national consciousness of patriotism so that we can begin to have Nigerians that are patriotic to stand with Nigeria at all times.
Abdullahi Mako, who expressed happiness for the recognition, says the National Gallery of Art will continue to make effort to document prominent artists and revitalize the fine art sector. And now to sport. Nigeria's Flying Eagles conclude training ahead of AFCON Under-20 qualifiers against Guinea-Bissau in Banjul as the 5th National Triathlon Championship ends in Lagos. Kene Emabodike has the details.